Well, the presentation of food changes. It does. The experience of eating it. Give me my chips. Give them to me, Mark. Oh, he's eating my stuff.
Well,
All
it wasn't
Dan
presented
Kohler,
very well.
It wasn't, but I just put it right here. You're right, but it does change it, but I don't care. They're still delicious. Okay, Dan Kohler, I'm eating his props. Dan Kohler is here to break down the science of plating for us. How much is plating really important when you eat?
You know, you and I were talking earlier in the day, and you were saying to me that you think we eat with our eyes first.
I do.
And it could not be truer. We actually consume so much visually before we even start to eat that there's a lot going on in your brain before we even smell the food. So actually, you know, there was a really interesting experiment that was run about brownies, and we were seeing how does what a brownie is put on, how does that affect you at home? How does that affect the people's eating experience? So there were 3 control groups. Each group was served the exact same brownie, but how they were served, it was changed. So the first group got a brownie that was served on a paper napkin. And then they were asked, how much do you think that brownie is worth? How much do you think you would pay for that brownie?
A quarter.
Quarter? So on average, they said they would pay 53 cents.
I'm cheap.
Fair. Now the next group was given the exact same brownie, but they were served it on a paper plate, and they were asked, "How much do you think this brownie is worth? How much would you pay for it?" And they would say
$1.
75 cents.
Christina's close there.
Oh.
So the second group said 76 cents. Now this is nothing has changed about the brownie. This is the same brownie they were getting. And the third group was served the exact same brownie on a really nice plate. Do you know how much they said they would pay for it?
$1.25.
They said they would pay about $1.27. You were spot on.
Wow.
So this is really interesting because what's changing is not at all the brownie, not the thing you're paying for. What's changing is the experience, how it's plated. And what happens in your brain is that when you think something is more valuable, when it has been placed on a nice plate, you actually begin to eat it more slowly. You savor it. You treat it like a fine meal. Like when you go out to a nice restaurant and there's courses that are brought to you slowly as opposed to everything brought on the table quickly and you're rushed out. You actually eat slower and you digest your food better. And you think it is more valuable even though all these brownies cost the exact same. So what does that mean for you at home? Well, actually something that I'm going to advise against doing, dumping chips out onto the counter, doesn't actually tell your brain that what you're eating is very valuable.
It's good though.
Well, it's still good, it's still delicious. However, so you know, and we all do this, it's called mindless eating, right? Where you just take something out of the bag and you start eating, but you can't see the bottom. So actually, you can't tell how much you're
eventually
eating.
you can.
Well, eventually. Yeah.
You hang out with me long enough, you can. I will go through that whole bag.
You can't tell how quickly you're eating or how much you're eating, but if you serve your food into a bowl, all of a sudden it changes your perception, it changes the value of the food, and you actually slow down.
Now I gotta clean a bowl.
You really do.
Gotta clean the bowl.
Yeah.
I know.
And then the
Olivia's
kids
with
want
me,
some, you
like,
gotta clean their bowls.
I know.
Right.
But this science actually goes even further. So there was another study ran, and this was all about breakfast cereal. So what they did was they took 2 groups, and they had one group, and they gave them a large bowl, and they had another group, and they gave them a small bowl. Now, each group was told you can fill your bowl as much as you want, and you can refill once you've finished your bowl. So right here, we've got 2 bowls. Now, believe it or not, this is the exact same amount of cereal. It's 6 ounces of cereal. One is in a large bowl, and one is in a small bowl. Now, the group that had larger bowls actually, on average, ate 16% more than the group that was given a smaller bowl. And beyond that, when they were asked, how much do you think you ate? The group that had the larger bowl and that ate 16% more actually reported that they ate 7% less than the group with the smaller bowl. And this is all due to something called the Delboeuf illusion, which I think we've got a picture of over here. Now, the Delboeuf illusion was developed by someone named Joseph Delboeuf in 1887. Joseph Delboeuf was a doctor and a scientist, and what he wanted to do was figure out how do we perceive concentric size. So the circles in the middle, these 2 circles right here, are the exact same size.
No.
But when you look at them, you actually begin to think that this black circle in the center is larger. Now, this is the Delboeuf illusion. A larger concentric circle around the outside leads you to believe that the food inside is smaller. So what does this mean for you guys at home? If you have a large bowl, you're going to want to fill it up even more. You're going to want to put more food in there because you're thinking that you don't have enough food there yet. And you'll continue to eat, even past the time that you're full. And we were talking about this earlier too. It takes about 20 minutes for the message from your stomach to your brain to tell you that you're finally full and that you've had enough food. And in this case, you really hurt yourself by serving food in a large bowl. Because when we serve it into a small bowl, what we can do, digest, and then go back for a second serving.
The little dot in the middle of the big plate, because
Yeah.
there's such space around it, is that why your brain, or when you see it, you think you need to put more food on it because of the
Exactly. What we're
circumference
seeing
of the
here is
plate?
actually more empty space.
Empty
and so we,
space,
And we
I
think
see.
we want to fill that empty space, and consequently we eat more than
eat
we
more.
ever need to.
Yeah.
Now this plays out really interestingly in dinner plates at home, right? Because we all sort of buy an average set of dinner plates. Well, in the 80s, the average size of a dinner plate was 10 inches around. Now, when we moved up to the early 2000s, the average size of a dinner plate had already moved up to 12 inches
That's
in
a
diameter.
buffet plate. That's a dinner plate?
But
Good Lord.
Can we take a second and just talk about this? Because I will go fine dining or whatever
Yes.
and order some fish or fillets. And the plate comes and the thing looks so small. Is there a reason? Is this part
That's
of?
precious eating. That's when they decorate the plate to make it look pretty.
Exactly.
It does,
And I
but I
think
feel
Chef,
like
Chef
my
Lala can
goodness.
speak to that a little
Yeah.
bit.
Plating,
You want to make
you
something
wanna have
feel
it.
valuable, right? And so you put it onto a gorgeous plate and you spend a lot of time making it look beautiful. But for you at home, this
just
really
looks
matters
lonely.
because if you've got a larger plate, believe it or not, this 2-inch diameter actually increases the surface area by 44%, which means you're actually eating almost half as much as you need to already.
Right.
Wow.